The smell of old leather and furniture polish filled the attorney's office as I sat in the high-backed chair, my hands folded in my lap. My daughter Sarah shifted uncomfortably to my left, while my son Michael sat rigid to my right. Their spouses flanked them, faces tight with anticipation. My attorney, Mr. Harrison, adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. Across from me sat Rosa Martinez, her worn hands clutching a tissue, her eyes red-rimmed. She looked as confused as I felt about why my children had insisted she attend this will reading. "Mrs. Patterson," Mr. Harrison began, "your late husband's estate has been settled, and now we're here to discuss the distribution of your assets as outlined in your revised will from last January." Sarah's perfectly manicured nails tapped against the armrest. "Revised? Mother, you never mentioned revising your will." I said nothing. Neither did my granddaughter Mia, Sarah's 15-year-old daughter, who sat quietly in the corner, her phone in her lap. Mr. Harrison continued reading. "To my daughter Sarah Patterson Chen, I leave my grandmother's pearl necklace and the sum of $50,000. To my son, Michael Patterson, I leave my late husband's watch collection and the sum of $50,000. The room went silent. Sarah's tapping stopped. "The remainder of my estate, including my home at 847 Maple Grove Lane, my investments, and all other assets totaling approximately $2.3 million, I leave 40% to Rosa Elena Martinez, who has shown me more kindness in 3 years than—" "This is insane!" Michael shot to his feet. "She's manipulated you. This is textbook undue influence." Sarah's face had gone pale, then red. "Mother, you can't be serious. That woman has been poisoning your mind against your own children." Rosa's hands trembled. "Mrs. Patterson, I never asked for anything. I don't want—" "Sit down, please," Mr. Harrison said firmly. "There's more. The remaining 60% is divided between various charities and a trust fund for my granddaughter Mia Chen, accessible when she turns 25. Mia looked up from her phone, her dark eyes meeting mine. She smiled slightly, then looked back down. "This won't stand," Michael said, his voice cold. "We'll contest this." She was clearly not of sound mind. Anyone can see Rosa took advantage of an elderly, grieving widow. "I assure you," Mr. Harrison said, "your mother underwent a complete psychological evaluation. She was deemed fully competent when she revised her will." "Then we'll prove coercion," Sarah hissed. "Mother, I love you, but you need to understand what this woman has done to you." I finally spoke. "What Rosa has done is show up." The words hung in the air like smoke. Mother Sarah started. "Let me finish," I said quietly. The room fell silent. "Your father died on a Tuesday morning in October, 3 years ago. Do you remember?" Neither of them answered. "Of course you remember. You both came to the funeral. Sarah, you wore black Prada. Michael, you took a call from your office during the eulogy. You stayed for the reception. You left before the sun went down." "We had obligations," Michael began. "I counted the days," I continued. "It was 63 days before either of you called me. 63 days of silence while I learned to sleep in a bed that suddenly felt enormous, while I learned to cook for one instead of two, while I sat in a house full of 52 years of memories with no one to share them with." Sarah's eyes glistened, but I couldn't tell if it was guilt or anger. "When you did call, Sarah, do you remember what you said? You asked if I'd started sorting through Dad's things because you wanted his golf clubs." "Michael, you wanted to know if I'd thought about selling the house because property values in the neighborhood were peaking." "That's not fair," Sarah whispered. "What's not fair is that for 3 years, Rosa has been the one who showed up. She showed up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She showed up when I had the flu and couldn't keep anything down. She showed up on my birthday when both of you forgot. She showed up on Christmas morning because neither of you could fit me into your holiday schedules." My voice cracked slightly, but I pushed on. "Rosa showed up when I fell in the garden and couldn't get up. She showed up when I forgot to take my medications and my blood pressure spiked. She showed up when I had nightmares about your father and needed someone to sit with me until dawn." Rosa was crying now, silent tears streaming down her weathered face. "So yes, I revised my will, not because I was manipulated, but because I was finally thinking clearly." Michael's jaw clenched. "This is emotional manipulation. We're contesting this, and we'll win." Mr. Harrison closed the folder. "That's your right. However, I should mention that Mrs. Patterson anticipated this response. We have extensive documentation of her mental competency, witness testimonies, and, may I say something? Mia's voice was soft but clear. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood up, her phone now in her hand. I have something I think everyone should see. Sarah frowned. Mia, sweetie, this is adult business. I know, Mom. That's why I've been recording it. Adult business. For 2 years. The room froze. Mia walked to the front of the room, where Mr. Harrison's laptop sat on the desk. Mr. Harrison, may I? He looked at me. I nodded. I had no idea what my granddaughter was about to do, but something in her eyes told me to trust her. Mia connected her phone to the laptop. I started recording things when Grandma got sick 2 years ago. At first, it was just because I was worried about her, and I wanted to remember things. But then I noticed something. She tapped her phone. This is from Thanksgiving, 2 years ago. The screen came to life. It was Sarah's dining room, the table set with china and crystal. The camera was clearly hidden, probably propped on a shelf. I saw myself sitting at the table, looking smaller than I remembered, my hands shaking slightly as I reached for my water glass. On the video, Sarah's voice came through clearly. Mom, have you thought about what we discussed, about moving to that lovely assisted living place in Riverside? Video me shook my head. I like my home, Sarah. Your father and I built our life there. But Mom, you're all alone in that big house. Wouldn't it be better to have people around? Staff to help you? I have Rosa. Sarah's face on the screen tightened. That's another thing we need to discuss. Michael and I are concerned about how much you're paying her. $15 an hour for someone with no formal training? Mom, she's taking advantage of you. She's worth twice that, Video me said quietly. She's the only one who visits. That's not fair, Mom. We're busy. Michael has the firm, I have the kids, and the charity board. I understand busy, Video me said. I raised you while working night shifts as a nurse. I know what busy looks like. This looks different. The video cut off. Mia looked at her mother. You want to see what busy looks like, Mom? She played another clip. This one was dated 6 months later. It showed Rosa in our kitchen, patiently helping me sort through medications. Her voice was gentle. Mrs. Eleanor, this blue one is for your heart. You take it in the morning with food, remember? I forget so many things now, I heard myself say on the video. That's okay. That's why I make you the chart. See? I put the stickers, the smiley face for morning, the moon for nighttime. We do it together, yes? On the video, I reached out and squeezed Rosa's hand. You're so patient with me. You are easy to be patient with, Mrs. Eleanor. You have a kind heart. Another clip. This one showed Rosa reading to me in the garden, my eyes closed, a smile on my face. Another showed her teaching me how to use FaceTime so I could call Mia. Another showed her sitting beside my bed during a bad night, humming softly. Now, Mia said, her voice harder. Let's talk about busy. The next video made my stomach drop. It was Michael, in what looked like his office, on the phone. The timestamp showed it was from 8 months ago. I know, Linda. I know. But we have to wait it out. She's 70 now. How much longer can it be? The house alone is worth over $1 million, and that's not counting the investments. A woman's voice responded, Can't you just convince her to sell now? Put her in a home? Sarah's working on it, but the old woman's stubborn. And now she's got this caretaker who's probably filling her head with ideas. I swear, if that woman ends up with anything in the will, I'll lose it. How would she even be in the will? Who knows what Mom's thinking these days? She's getting forgetful. Could work in our favor for the conservatorship angle if the assisted living thing doesn't pan out. Mia paused the video. Michael had gone white. Mia. That was taken out of context. Was it? Mia pulled up another video. This one was Sarah, also on the phone. She called me 3 times last week. Mom. 3 times. I don't have time to listen to her go on about her garden and what Rosa cooked for lunch. I have my own life. A voice on the other end of the phone said something I couldn't make out. I know I should visit more, but honestly, it's depressing. She's old and sad, and it makes me feel guilty, and I can't deal with it right now. I'll make it up to her when when things change. The room was silent except for Sarah's sharp breathing. Her face was blotchy with red spots. "I have 47 videos," Mia said quietly. "Dates, timestamps, locations. I have videos of both of you talking about Grandma's assets like she's already dead. I have videos of you telling your friends she's losing her mind when she's not. I have videos of you canceling plans with her last minute, over and over again." She looked at Rosa. "And I have videos of Rosa. Lots of them. Rosa reading to Grandma when she couldn't sleep. Rosa making sure Grandma ate when she was too sad to want food. Rosa sitting with Grandma on Dad's birthday, looking at old photos, letting Grandma cry. Rosa cleaning up after Grandma got sick from her new medication. Rosa calling 911 when Grandma fell, and staying at the hospital all night even though her shift was over." Mia's voice broke. "Rosa was there for my grandmother when her own children couldn't be bothered, so if you want to contest this will, go ahead. I'll give every single video to the judge. I'll testify about every conversation I overheard, every holiday you skipped, every phone call you ignored." She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you I was recording, Grandma. I wanted to protect you. I wanted proof that you weren't crazy, that you weren't being manipulated. I wanted proof that Rosa is exactly who she seems to be, a good person who cared about you when no one else did." I stood up slowly and walked to my granddaughter. I wrapped my arms around her, this fierce, brilliant child who had grown up when I wasn't looking. "Thank you," I whispered into her hair. When I turned back to Sarah and Michael, they were both staring at the floor. "The will stands," I said firmly. "And if either of you contests it, Mia's videos become public record. Every word, every missed call, every conversation about my death like it was a business transaction." Michael stood abruptly. I can't." He walked out, his wife scurrying after him. Sarah remained seated, tears now flowing freely. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I didn't mean." "But you did mean it," I said gently. "That's the problem, Sarah. You meant every word. You were busy. I understand that. But you made choices about where to spend your time, and those choices didn't include me. Can we fix this?" Sarah's voice was small, like a child's. Can we start over?" I looked at Mia, who was watching her mother with an expression I couldn't quite read. "That's not up to me, Sarah. That's up to you. The will doesn't change. Rosa deserves what I'm giving her. But whether you and I have a relationship moving forward depends on whether you're willing to show up. Actually show up. Not out of obligation or guilt, but because you genuinely want to be part of my life." Sarah nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. She looked at Rosa. "I owe you an apology too. You've been the daughter I should have been." Rosa shook her head. "I just did my job, Mrs. Sarah." "No," Sarah said, standing. "You did more than your job. You gave her something I didn't. Your time and your heart." She picked up her purse, her hands shaking. "I need to go. I need to think about everything." She paused at the door. "Mia, you're grounded forever for secretly recording people." But there was no anger in her voice, only a broken kind of pride. "But I'm also incredibly proud of you for protecting Grandma, even from me." After Sarah left, it was just Mr. Harrison, Rosa, Mia, and me. Mr. Harrison began packing up his files. "I'll prepare the final paperwork. Mrs. Martinez, you'll need to come by the office next week to sign some documents." Rosa nodded, still looking overwhelmed. "Mrs. Eleanor, I don't need." "Stop," I said gently. "You've told me 100 times you don't need anything. But this isn't about need, Rosa. This is about gratitude. This is about recognizing that for 3 years, you've been my family when my own family forgot how." "What will you do?" Mia asked me. Now that everything's out?" I smiled. "You know, your grandfather and I always talked about traveling. Australia, New Zealand, Scotland. We were going to go after he retired, but then his heart gave out before we could buy the tickets." I looked at Rosa. "How would you feel about being a traveling companion for a few months? I'll pay you your regular rate, plus all expenses. I'd like someone with me who knows how to work a blood pressure cuff." Rosa's eyes widened. "Mrs. Eleanor, I couldn't." "Yes, you could, and I'd like you to. Unless you have other plans?" She laughed through her tears. "My plans are to work until I'm too old to work, and then to sit in my small apartment and watch television until I die." Your plans sound better. Good. Then it's settled. I turned to Mia. And you, young lady, I'd like you to join us for at least part of the trip. Maybe the Scotland portion? School will be out in June. Mia's face lit up. Really? Mom will never let me. Your mother might surprise you. People can change when they realize what they're about to lose. I put my hand on her shoulder. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for seeing what I needed even when I didn't know I needed it. You're my grandma, Mia said simply. Of course I was going to protect you. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. Mrs. Patterson, before I forget, you mentioned wanting to set up that foundation? Yes, I said. The George Patterson Fund for Elder Care Support. I want to help families hire caregivers like Rosa. Good, compassionate people who treat seniors with dignity. Too many people can't afford quality care. I'd like to change that. Rosa's hand flew to her mouth. You're naming it after your husband? He would have loved you, I said honestly. He always said the measure of a person is how they treat those who can't do anything for them in return. You measured up, Rosa. You measured up in every way. Later that evening, I sat in my garden, the same spot where Rosa had found me after I fell 18 months ago. The roses were blooming, deep red and coral pink. George had planted them the year before he died. I'd almost let them die too, but Rosa had insisted we water them together. Mrs. Eleanor? Rosa came out with 2 cups of tea. She'd been nervous about staying late, but I'd asked her to. Your tea, just how you like it. Thank you. I took the cup, feeling the warmth seep into my arthritic fingers. Rosa, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Why did you stay? All those times my children were rude to you. All those times they implied you were taking advantage of me. Why didn't you quit? Rosa was quiet for a moment, looking at the roses. When I came to this country, I was alone. My husband had died. My children were grown and living their own lives back in Mexico. I took this job because I needed money, yes. But I stayed because you reminded me of my own mother. She smiled softly. My mother lived alone for many years after my father died. I was so far away, I couldn't visit. I would call, but it's not the same as being there, you know? She died alone, Mrs. Eleanor. She fell in her home, and no one found her for 2 days. I reached over and took her hand. When I met you, Rosa continued, grieving and alone in this big house, I thought, I can't help my mother anymore. But I can help this woman. I can make sure she doesn't die alone, forgotten. Every time I made you soup, I thought of my mother. Every time I read to you, I thought of my mother. Every time I sat with you in the night, I thought of my mother. You gave me a gift too, Mrs. Eleanor. You gave me a chance to say goodbye properly. We sat in comfortable silence as the sun set, painting the sky orange and pink and purple. Somewhere in the house, I could hear Mia on the phone, probably telling her friends about the dramatic will reading. Tomorrow, Sarah would call, trying to make amends. Michael might take longer, or he might not come around at all. That was his choice. But tonight, I sat in my garden with someone who had chosen to love me, not because we shared blood, but because we shared humanity. And that felt like the most valuable inheritance of all. Rosa, I said as the first stars appeared, what do you think about Scotland in September? I hear the Highlands are beautiful that time of year. She squeezed my hand. I think, Mrs. Eleanor, that wherever you want to go, I would be honored to go with you. And somewhere in the house, my granddaughter laughed, the sound bright and alive and full of hope. The kind of hope that comes from knowing that sometimes family isn't about blood. Sometimes it's about showing up. I sipped my tea and smiled. For the first time in 3 years, I wasn't just surviving. I was living.